The first light of dawn spilled over London like a golden ribbon on Coronation Day. The city pulsed with excitement, alive with music, chatter and waving flags. People had journeyed from across the globe to witness this rare and historic moment. Streets were polished to perfection, floral decorations adorned every corner, and shop windows displayed smiling portraits of the royal family. Conversations everywhere buzzed about royal fashion, the grandeur of the procession, and above all, how the royal children might behave. Inside Kensington Palace, Prince William rose early. As he stood by the window, the sky stretched clear and blue above the rooftops. Perfect weather, he murmured to himself, knowing this would be a day not just of pageantry, but of history. It was more than a celebration, it was a turning point in the story of the monarchy. His wife, Princess Catherine, was already awake, quietly moving through the room, checking last-minute details. Her gown hung by the door, delicately veiled in a protective cloth. Designed over many months, it was a masterpiece, elegant but not ostentatious, a respectful nod to royal tradition with a fresh, modern spirit. A small voice interrupted the quiet. "Mummy, is it time yet?" Princess Charlotte stood in the doorway in her pyjamas, hair tousled from sleep, her eyes alight with curiosity. "Not yet, sweetheart," Kate answered, smiling warmly. "First breakfast, then we dress. The carriages won't be here for a few more hours." Prince George followed, already looking serious beyond his years. "I polished my shoes last night," he said proudly. William rested a hand on his son's shoulder. "Good man, today you'll see what it means to be king, someday. But not for a very long time," Kate quickly added, always mindful of George's sensitive nature and the weighty future that awaited him. Suddenly, Louis burst in, full of life and excitement. "Will there be cake? And planes? I want to see the planes." William chuckled. "Yes, the planes will fly over at the end, but first, we sit very quietly in church. For a long time." Louis frowned. "How long?" "Very long," Charlotte replied in a matter-of-fact tone. "And you can't talk, or move around, or pick your nose," George added with a grin, making everyone at the table burst into laughter. They gathered for breakfast, simple fare, toast, fruit, eggs. Though palace staff bustled around them, this moment felt like any ordinary morning. It was the last pocket of normalcy before the cameras and crowds. Kate watched her children fondly, pride swelling in her chest, but a tinge of worry lingered. Louis was just 5, and sitting still for hours would be no easy feat. Charlotte was reliable, though easily fatigued by formal events. George was dutiful, perhaps too much so. Kate wanted him to enjoy this day, not just carry the burden of future expectations. William caught her glance and gave a quiet reassurance. "They'll be wonderful. People love watching them just be themselves." After breakfast, the palace transformed into a flurry of preparations. Helpers arrived to assist with dressing. William donned his ceremonial military uniform, each medal and badge a symbol of duty and service. Kate's stylists gently helped her into her gown. The soft blue fabric shimmered subtly under the light, with sparkling details sewn by hand. Her jewellery was carefully chosen. Some pieces once belonged to Princess Diana. On every significant day, Kate made sure Diana's memory walked with them. The children were next. George wore a miniature version of William's uniform, looking every bit the young prince. Charlotte's dress mirrored her mother's, elegant, classic, with a youthful twist. Louis looked dashing in his tiny suit, though he fussed with his itchy collar. "It's uncomfortable," he grumbled, squirming. "Just for today," Kate said gently, adjusting his tie. "People will remember how handsome you looked for years." Time passed quickly. Hair was styled, shoes were checked, and final touches made. Kate gathered her children for a last once-over. "Remember," William told them, "wave gently, smile naturally, and if you get tired, just let us know." From the windows, the rising sound of crowds and helicopters hinted that the world was waiting. It was time. William took Kate's hand and asked softly, "Ready?" She nodded, drawing a calming breath. "Ready." As the royal family stepped outside, the sun bathed them in light, and the cheers from the crowd surged like a wave. Hundreds of cameras flashed. The children blinked in surprise. Before them stood 4 regal carriages, shining with gold and red, drawn by majestic horses in ornate harnesses. "Look at the horses!" Louis shouted with glee, pointing enthusiastically. Kate smiled, gently lowering his arm, a quiet reminder to stay composed. Yet the crowd loved it. The image of a joyful, unfiltered child amid royal ceremony was a breath of humanity. William helped Kate into the first carriage. Her gown sparkled under the morning sun, causing a collective gasp from the spectators. She looked every inch the future queen, timeless and graceful. George stepped up carefully, his face serious with responsibility. Charlotte gave a delicate, well-practiced wave, graceful as ever. Louis, with help from his father, scrambled in last, pressing his nose to the window until Kate gently reminded him, "Not too close, sweetheart." He leaned back with a grin, waving wildly at the crowd. With the royal banner raised atop the carriage, they began to move. The horses stepped into rhythm, the procession rolling onto the streets of London. Motorcycle police escorted them as crowds cheered and flags waved in a sea of red, white and blue. Inside the carriage, William pointed out familiar landmarks. "That's where I went to school. And that park over there, that's where Grandma Diana took me to play." George listened closely, drinking in every word. Charlotte sat straight-backed beside Kate, waving gently. Louis bounced with excitement. "So many people," he whispered in awe. "Are they all here for us?" "They're here for the coronation," George explained with a teacherly air. "It's a big day for our whole country." "That's right," William added. "It's a day people will remember forever." Kate smiled proudly. Her children were growing up, kind, curious, and grounded. "But is there cake?" Louis asked, still hopeful. "Maybe later," Kate laughed. "First comes the serious part." The route was lined with people who had waited through the night to catch a glimpse. Families with picnic blankets, elderly veterans in medals, children on their parents' shoulders, all waving, smiling and cheering. William waved back, practiced but genuine. Today wasn't just ceremony. It was a symbol of continuity. One day it would be his turn to be crowned, and after that, George's. The thought made him glance at his eldest son with quiet awe. George met his father's eyes. "What is it, Dad?" "Just thinking about the future," William said with a smile. "But today we celebrate." As they turned onto the Mall, crowds thickened. Cheers reached a fever pitch. Charlotte spotted children her age holding signs that read, "We love Princess Charlotte." She waved shyly, lighting up their faces. "Everyone loves you," Kate whispered. "They love all of us," Charlotte replied sweetly. Approaching Westminster Abbey, their pace slowed. Other carriages had arrived, royal families from around the world, dignitaries and leaders in elegant attire. William gathered his family. "We're almost there. Walk slowly. Don't rush." The children nodded. Even Louis looked solemn now. The moment felt real. The carriage halted. From inside they could hear a choir singing. A footman opened the door. "Your Royal Highnesses," he said with a bow. "We are ready for you." One by one they stepped out. Westminster Abbey stood tall before them, timeless and majestic. William helped Kate down. Her dress caught the light, drawing applause. George exited with the calm of a future king, Charlotte with the grace of a princess. Louis, full of enthusiasm, nearly leapt out, and William caught his arm gently. "It's so big," Louis whispered, eyes wide, drawing soft chuckles from those nearby. Kate took his hand. "Remember, walk slowly, stay close to me." Together, the royal family walked the path lined with guards and dignitaries. Heads bowed in respect as they passed. Inside the abbey, cool air and coloured light from stained glass wrapped around them. The soaring ceiling echoed with the deep sound of the organ. Louis gripped Kate's hand tightly as they stepped inside. A young boy entering a place of history, surrounded by love, duty,